The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? I've got a job for you. You have to die. No, it's not like that. We'll make another one of you. Sounds like a dream job. Said nobody ever. Yet Amber and Scott discussed just this from Mickey 17. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
So I'm not sure it beats air traffic controller for stress, but that's definitely on the list of top 10 worst jobs.
I think you might be right. This episode, we are talking about Mickey 17. Mickey Barnes has found himself in the extraordinary circumstance of working for an employer who demands the ultimate commitment to the job, to die for a living.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. Okay, I mean, we talk about sometimes what are you willing to do to get to where you need, like he needed to get off the planet, and he was literally willing to do anything, including put himself in a position where he dies over and over and over again.
Signing up to be an expendable, where basically you're subjected to all kinds of uncertainty and experimentation, and with the expectation that, hey, we need to develop, vaccines or test gases or test environments, and probably someone's going to die. So we're going to have you be that person. You're going to die, and then we're going to generate another you by human printing, like a 3D printer, but we're printing humans.
It's interesting because, okay, so obviously without having a human printer, you generally don't want to die. But like if you knew you were in a situation where if you died, you just were going to get printed back out.
I'd get used to it. I mean, I get used to the concept that this is just part of what happens, and this version of me is going to die, and I'm going to come back. I mean, it's almost like just having a free pass or constant reincarnation, whatever your preference is.
Yeah. Plus, your body goes back to the way it was when it first got scanned. So, like, let's say somehow you've survived 20 years.
Yeah, you still
You get to go back to your body 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to my body from 20 years ago.
Yep. Absolutely.
So on the what would you do, for one, even though they look like giant fuzzy beetles, I don't hurt the puppies.
Yeah, they look like the inhabitants of the planet that they went to kind of look like something out of Alien combined with those little roly-poly kind of accordion bugs.
Yeah, they were like giant fuzzy roly-polies.
Yeah.
That had giant tentacles on the inside.
Lots and lots and lots of legs and things like that. At first, I was like, yuck. But then they started being mean to them and hurting them. And then they got more cute because didn't matter. We all look different. There's some ugly people too. And, they shouldn't be tortured any more than the bugs.
When that bitch cut off its tail.
Yeah, she was a whore.
Dude, she was a whore.
That was terrible. A little baby that they got and she cut off its tail and stuck it in a blender and made a sauce out of it. She was a sicko.
She was obsessed with sauces.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. The guy in charge of the expedition, or the sexpedition, as they look to re-inhabit a new
Jesus Christ
planet, he was calling those creatures aliens, and that the aliens need to be eradicated. And thankfully, Nasha, who was Mickey 17's girlfriend, said, "No. We are the aliens. They live here. They are the natural inhabitants. They are not aliens. They live here. You are invading their space and their planet. We are the aliens." I really like that a lot because as humans, we get a little self-obsessed thinking that everybody else is the problem. And as humans, we have all dominance over everything. And we might act like that, but we shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, we generally have the might makes right attitude.
Yeah, that's wrong.
I mean, sometimes it's right, but usually it's not.
So let's get into some what would you do. So you are an expendable like Mickey 17, and you participate in all these tests and experiments and whatever, knowing that you're going to die and you're going to be regenerated. What would you do in those circumstances? How would you feel? How would you deal with it?
I would absolutely go to my job recruiter and ask what the hell he was doing recommending me for this. And I do wonder, again, if you knew you were going to die and thus your pain would end, like, you know, your job is going to involve, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes of just utter torture.
Yeah, blistering, bubbling body,
But-
rashes.
But at the end of 5 or 10 minutes, it's done.
Maybe.
I mean, listen, that job would have to pay so well.
I don't know that it paid well. I don't know that it paid at all.
Oh, no,
I
it
mean,
didn't. I mean, he basically wanted to get on the frickin'.
on a spaceship to another
Yeah.
planet to get away from a loan shark, essentially.
So he was willing to do whatever. But I'm just saying, in an IRL world, like if that existed, like what do you think that job would have to pay?
You know, sadly, I think that kind of job would prey on people who actually were living more in the shadows or had some sort of baggage with them and didn't really have to be paid a lot, because I think a job like that would prey on the uneducated or the undocumented or the somehow victimized, or maybe someone who was trafficked or something like that. So it feels like that job as a whole would prey on the most vulnerable in our society.
Okay, so let's just say that you get 2 weeks vacation. Otherwise, you are going to be doing something that causes you to die once a week. Just at once a week. So you're basically looking at 50 deaths a year.
Well, obviously,
What do you think the market rate would end up being on that? Because obviously, if you pay too little, you don't have anyone. If you pay too much, you have too many. So where do you think is the market rate for that job?
I think if you had a base pay of $250,000, I think people might be willing to do that.
I think you could get it for less. I was thinking more like 175. I mean, it's still a lot of money. I mean, but it depends. I mean, I know that there are, say, undocumented workers who come over here to work and they send the money back to their family. Like it's all about for their family.
Yeah.
And at something like that, they can be like,
Oh, you could change your whole family's life in a year of doing that. And
Yeah.
you might be on your 12th, 15th, 20th iteration of yourself at that time. But yeah, you could certainly change your life with that kind of money.
yeah. So I'm not doing it for 175. I mean, maybe if you put a 0 after that, maybe if 1.75.
Yeah, and then I think it ceases to be realistic.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I just don't want to have to die 50 times a year, and often in rather brutal ways.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Also, I don't know, what would you do when at the end of the movie when they're like, we're getting rid of the expendable program and we're blowing up the printer? No, do you not see what the problem is here? That
What?
printer is not the problem.
Well, it kind of is, but
The job was the problem. Like, why not?
you could use it to bring back people who had died, and
Yeah, why not when you're, say, I don't know, 20, 25-ish or whatever, that, or maybe before, whatever, you get scanned.
yeah, they put all of your personality and memories and everything into a brick, so
Yeah.
you could.
And you could update the brick over
Well,
time.
what you're describing is Upload, the TV show Upload.
Pretty close, yeah. Well, I mean, only upload is actually like digital. It's more like inside the Matrix.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, here you're basically, everyone can get a copy made. So if something horrible happens to you, then they can just print you back out. It doesn't mean your job has to be to die. It just means basically you have the ultimate plan B. Though I will say I am not sure I want to live in a world where everyone has a plan B, because people are ridiculous enough when they don't have a plan B.
Oh yeah, I'm going to drag race. I'm going to, put this semi through the intersection with all of the traffic, or I'm going to make this jump off of a bridge, or knowing that you have essentially 8 lives like a cat plus infinity.
Yeah. And even like the implications for the military.
Are we keeping you up?
What?
I said, are we keeping you up?
No.
The implications for the military.
Like, okay, I lost a bunch of soldiers in a war. Print them back out. I mean, it could damn near make wars go infinitely because wars.
We lost 5,000 troops today, but they were all regenerated.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, one of the ways wars end is enough people die that one side has to be like, we just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, we run out of soldiers, but if no side runs out of soldiers, we potentially have infinite war, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you just have rubble everywhere. No one dies, but everything around you is rubble.
Yeah, I think this conversation has pretty much said why that printer did need to be destroyed.
But
Because as long as those decisions are governed by humans, humans will frequently choose the corrupt path, the selfish path, the convenient path, the wealthy path.
yeah, maybe there's some way. I don't know. Like, I like the idea. I like the idea of having a backup plan, but not the way humans would probably use it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like so many things. They say this is great technology, but if it falls into the wrong hands, and unfortunately, as a human society, there are a lot of wrong hands for anything like that.
Yeah. So,
I mean, because, someone would ultimately find, some DNA of Hitler's and bring back Hitler, or
dear God.
or some faction would bring back some other Genghis Khan or whatnot.
Well,
So-
I mean, I mean, it seems like you have to have the actual full scan and everything first. So, like, if you're already dead,
but I'm saying if someone's done some of the work, someone will find a way to what is that word when you have something and then you kind of, it's not jerry rig, but something where you adapt what's there to make it do something different. Anyway,
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
sure once someone had done the technology of a machine like that, I'm sure somebody could very easily find a way to adapt it to do something else. I'm just saying, things like that are great ideas until they fall into the wrong hands. And as a human race, we have lots of wrong hands.
yeah, and we're getting to see that now with AI itself. What happens when AI starts falling into the wrong hands? And it's already happening a little bit, but I think it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah, when you have 2 million people like a video of a duck carrying around a giraffe on Facebook, and everyone likes it and says,
Have you actually seen a video of a duck carrying a giraffe? Because I don't. It doesn't for a second shock me that
nature is
video might.
amazing. God is great.
Yeah. No. If you see a video of a duck carrying a giraffe, it is fake.
It's fake, folks.
And
Don't
that
like
goes
it.
if the giraffe is carrying a hippopotamus, if a hippopotamus is carrying a rhino, none of these things are real.
Yeah.
If your
true.
ice cream turns into little doggies, that's not real.
That's true. I definitely don't want that either. I want the puppies and I want the ice cream, but I don't want the puppies.
We just took a hard left turn on this one.
Yeah. But it kind of is in fitting with the environment of Mickey 17, where you have this crazy technology.
So what happens when you get multiples? Because obviously they thought Mickey 17 was dead, so they printed out Mickey 18, and then he's not.
Uh-oh.
He comes back, he's like, oh, there's two of us. And I found it interesting how different their personalities were for, being the same freaking person.
Yeah, and that's definitely what was commented on is, one of the Mickeys was more passive, one of them was more dumb, one of them, was, they all had little quirks to them. So it's interesting, although everything is supposed to be the same and you're working from that same brick of information, that there is, I guess, a margin of error. I guess you'd have to call that error because you're not making a complete copy. It's like when you have an original piece of paper and you make a copy, then someone makes a copy of the copy and a copy of the copy. And then you have something like our office is here where you have some sort of form that is so pixelated and crooked because someone's made a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah, it's though hang on, what was the girl? Who was the
Nasha,
Nasha?
his girlfriend?
Yeah. So what would you do if you're Nasha and you came into the room and you saw there were two of me?
Run.
Yeah, I figured that would be your
There'd be
response.
one for the left ear and one for the right ear. I'd leave you to yourselves to have a scintillating conversation with yourself, and I'd come back a couple hours later.
I would kill myself. I would actually kill myself. And then I'm not even committing suicide. It's just murder. I don't see how anyone puts up with me for any length of time. Yeah, if I walked into a room and I saw two of you, I thought, I will never win another argument ever. Ever.
Yeah, I don't know if having of any significant other is ever a good idea for anybody, unless you have someone who really likes to clean and cook. I'd be all over that. Hey, you number one, get over there and cook me meals, and hey, you number two, get over there and clean that toilet. Sign me up.
I'm not sure if that works. I think you have to get into Severance world for that.
Well, maybe they like it. Maybe they want to make me happy.
Maybe. No. I actually really enjoyed this movie. It didn't feel like it drug at all. I mean, there are some issues, but it was creative. Like so many movies these days, I feel.
Well, it was based on a book, so let's be sure to give the author credit here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are. I mean, that's what adapted screenplays are for.
But yeah, at 2 hours and 17 minutes, it was certainly a long film, but I'd never caught myself looking at the time or feeling antsy or anything like that. It did go very quickly, kind of like Anora. Anora was a really long film, too, that just kind of went by
Yeah,
very
I
quickly.
think the only time I actually checked my watch was at one point when the icy was almost empty, and I was trying to see, like, are we close enough to the end that I shouldn't refill it, or do we still have long enough that I should? And obviously, I chose that I should.
Yeah, I tapered off that icy pretty early with a 2 hour and 17 minute movie.
Yeah, it's like erasing the bladder.
So yeah, I enjoyed it too, up until the point where I got stressed out that they were hurting the creatures on the planet that they had landed on, and those creatures, we're one planet in a whole freaking galaxy, in a multitude of galaxies, and of course humans come in, boom, boom, boom. We're humans. We're dominant. We take over everything. And those creatures who had lived there for, how many eons on this planet all by themselves then start, getting harassed and threatened with extermination because the big bad human arrived.
I do like how the creepers
That's what they call the little
threaten
creatures.
to explode their brains and their eyes and their ears and everything if they didn't return the baby and everything. And at the end, we just find out they were just bluffing. They just couldn't do it. But
Yeah, they got a sense of humor.
yeah, no, I like it. So
I love a little creature who can bluff.
yeah. So anything else on this one?
Oh gosh, I guess just it was kind of funny because I think in so many ways it highlights the possibility of technology and also the pitfalls of technology, which I think as a society we grapple with on a daily basis nowadays, and more quickly than ever before.
Yeah, no, for sure. Technology is a wonderful, wonderful thing, as so long as it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. So,
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.